Hey, ladies, welcome to The Power of the Ask, the podcast where we ditch the waiting and embrace the asking for what we truly deserve.
Welcome to The Power of the Ask.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Power of the Ask podcast, which helps you get what you need financially and personally. We are so glad that you're here today. My name is Lisa Zeiderman. I am managing partner at Miller Zeiderman, and I'm one of the co-hosts of The Power of the Ask with my dear friend, Precious Williams. Hi,
Hey,
Precious.
Queen Lisa. As our queen just said, my name is Precious Williams. I'm known as the Killer Pitch Master and the proud founder and CEO of the Perfect Pitch Group. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This week, we're excited to introduce you to Manisha Thakor. Now, we like to give you a brief introduction on our guests before they just blow you away. So Manisha Thakor has worked in financial services for more than 30 years, with an emphasis on women's empowerment and financial well-being. A nationally recognized thought leader in this space, Thakor has been featured in a wide range of publications, including the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, NPR, PBS, CNN, Real Simple, and Women's Health. In her most recent book, MoneyZen, she breaks down the personal, cultural, and societal forces that have led us to falsely believe that we can never have, do, or be enough, and shows us a fresh new path for MoneyZen. Ooh, I like the way that sounds, MoneyZen. Her joy-based approach to living a life rich in financial health and emotional wealth. I'm going to say that again. Rich in financial health and emotional wealth. Manisha, we're so excited to have you today.
Oh, Precious Lisa, thank you so much for having me on.
Well, we are really excited to have you, Manisha. I think there's so much to discuss today. You've built this whole career helping people achieve financial well-being through clarity and simplicity. When you think about the power of the ask, those words, that phrase, what does it mean to you personally and professionally?
Professionally, what it means to me is actually two things. One is the power of letting women know around money. There is no dumb question. And I know that's such a trite phrase, but I cannot emphasize this enough. I'm divorced. My ex-husband was 20 years older than me. And when we were married, he was a big 6'4" Texan that looked a bit like, well, George Clooney. So anywhere we'd go, people thought he was the breadwinner and they would completely ignore me. And it was awesome because I'd be a fly on the wall and I'd listen to him talk to the other men. They'd be architects and marketing execs and engineers, and they're talking about money. And it's completely nonsensical what they're saying to each other, but they say it with such confidence. And so I want women to feel so comfortable asking questions. And then personally, what I would say is asking myself, what can I shed from my life to feel more me today? And it could be something as simple as, I have like 3 pens that are out of ink and I'm going to throw them away. Don't need that. Or it could be, I promised somebody I'd be their co-host on a podcast and that's making me want to dry heave. So I've asked myself if I want to do it. The answer is no.
Love that.
Oh, the other professional one, I cannot believe I forgot this, but it's probably karmic energy that made me forget it, which is ask for a raise. I will never forget this. Sally Krawcheck, who was a former chief financial officer at Citigroup and president of Merrill Lynch Global Wealth Management, founder of Ellevest. I remember years ago her sitting on a panel and saying, while she was president of Merrill Lynch Wealth, she could not remember a time when a single woman, and her direct reports were really serious, couldn't remember a single time when a woman asked for a raise, and men always did. Always did. So ask.
Before you ask something, Precious, I'm going to just tell a little story because I was so taken aback by it. And it really speaks to what Manisha just said. So I gave out my bonuses and my raises for my company this year. And then one of my associates, I have a law firm, one of my associates came in and asked for a much bigger raise. And I said whatever I said. And then she said, you know, I learned how to do this through Savvy Ladies because I go to all the events and I listen to the podcast and I hear what you say. And that's where I learned to do it. So take it away, Precious. But I thought it was really just happened like last
I
week.
love that. I love that. And Nisha, I'm so glad you brought up Sally. Sally and I had keynoted the Million Dollar Women Conference together a couple of years ago, and she is amazing. And that asking for a raise goes back into what I want to ask. So, so many people, but women especially are afraid to ask for what they need, whether it's that raise, support, or financial guidance. So from your vantage point, what's the psychological or cultural blocks that most commonly get in the way for women?
I think it boils down to Reshma Saujani's book and TED Talk, which is women, well, men are taught to be brave and women are taught to be perfect. And if you're perfect, everything should be perfect. So why would you ask? And I know that may sound once again simplistic, but when I first heard that message, I literally had a full body reaction because it rang so true with me.
Mm, wow.
Now, your book, MoneyZen, and I love those words, MoneyZen, you talk about the intersection of financial health and emotional well being. How does asking, whether it's for help, information, boundaries, how does all that asking play a role in creating a healthy money relationship? In other words, a relationship where you actually have a good relationship with money, a solid relationship with money.
There are a lot of different elements that I discuss in Money Zen and that help address that question. But the one I want to discuss today is one that every listener can put into place immediately after listening to the episode. And that is the concept of joy based spending. So, in today's environment where, let's face it, I mean, economic times are tough. So many of us are feeling like, oh God, I've got to start budgeting. And that feels so depressing. It feels constraining. It feels miserable. And like the joy is going to be sucked out of your life when you do it. And so what I found is it's really helpful to flip it on its head. And this concept comes from Vicki Robin, the author of Your Money or Your Life. And I read that book 25 years ago, and it was just, woo. And one of her key core premises is that most of us have money coming into our lives because we worked for it. And if not ourselves, then somebody else in our household or in a previous generation. And so when you get money for work, what you're getting money for is an exchange of energy. And therefore, when you spend your money, you are spending your life's energy. So instead of thinking about budgeting as a source of deprivation, I like to think about it as having a whole new relationship with your money. And the relationship is this: squeezing as much joy out of it as you can. And there are 3 ways that I recommend you do this. If you do all 3, that's the best. But if you can only do one, do one. So the first one is the one people resist the most, but it's the one that makes the biggest difference. And that is for an entire month, literally write down everything you spend money on or any expense. So, like, you're at the store, you open up your notes app, you write down the thing and the dollar amount. You see a bill come through that's on auto pay, you open up your notes app, you type it in. Then at the end of the month, you print that note. But you don't have to add up anything. All you have to do is take out a yellow highlighter, and as you go down that list, highlight anything you spent money on that did not bring you joy. So for most of us, it's, we know to try and negotiate our wireless bills and, the number of streaming services we have, et cetera, et cetera. But the real power comes from things like, dang, I went out for drinks with a whole bunch of people and I don't even like them. I left that evening feeling worse about myself. Or my kid hates his soccer coach and I hate driving them there. And then sometimes they're really big ones, which is, wow, I love where I live, but the rent on this apartment it's killing me. And I'm having to put all the happy stuff in life on a credit card. How much joy is this rent really bringing to me? It may be exquisite joy, and therefore you're spending less in other areas. But for a lot of people, it's, well, okay, I probably could find an alternative. And I find this very much with individuals who hit the empty nest stage, where they've got more toilets in their house now than humans because, they've got 3 kids and they're all, out of the nest.
You had me over here snapping fingers, just snapping. You've worked with individuals across a wide spectrum of wealth. So what patterns have you noticed in terms of how successful people use the power of asking to advance their goals or protect their well-being?
I find that not all, but a shockingly wide percentage of people I meet who have like the whole wealthy thing going on. I call it, like wealthy woman hair. Like it's just always perfect. Their nails are perfect. Their clothes are fabulous and tailored, and they're driving the right car, and their jewelry is exquisite. I can't tell you, there's a period in my life where I ran my own wealth management firm called MoneyZen Wealth Management. And the idea was to focus on very high level female executives who were being completely ignored by the current ecosystem of male advisors at that time. And so I had a $3 million minimum. And I can't tell you how many women with wealthy woman hair would come to me and they had nothing close to that in the bank. Like many of them would be in their late 50s with a great 6-figure job that they'd had for years, and they got $100,000 in savings. So the first thing is I have noticed that many people have not asked themselves if I am on financial track when they are engaging in their spending habits. And so the other ask is, when you see somebody like dressed to the nines, don't assume, ask yourself, if you're feeling, I don't know, jealous or uncomfortable, and that happens to me sometimes, I imagine it happens to other people, I ask myself, is that a realistic image? And sometimes it is, and it's because a woman has busted her balls and she's like crazy successful. But sometimes the guy's driving the Porsche and he's got no furniture in the apartment. So that's how I tend to think about it.
Ladies, are you ready to take control of your future? Do you dream of financial stability, freedom, and a life that truly deserves you?
For over 20 years, Savvy Ladies has empowered women from all walks of life to make smart financial choices, achieve our goals, and build a brighter future.
We built Savvy Ladies as a community of women supporting women. We offer free financial educational programs, a trusted helpline, and guidance and advice from America's top financial professionals.
You can access the financial helpline at savvyladies.org or where you get your apps under Savvy Ladies. Savvy Ladies equips you with the knowledge, confidence, and support you need to thrive. So don't wait. Join Savvy Ladies today and start building your financial confidence and well-being now. I'd love to hear and speak to you about money conversations, because Savvy Ladies is putting out a whole program this year about money conversations. This is really, we want to really hear women talk about money. And in fact, we just did a whole event at Bottomless Closet, as Precious knows, having money conversations. And we are doing other talks for schools and for libraries and other organizations for money conversations. So when it comes to money conversations, Manisha, partner relationships, family dynamics, workplace negotiations. We know how that went for me. What are the most important questions people should be asking, but they don't necessarily ask those questions? What are those questions?
I would say in a relationship context, by far, in a way, the most important question, and I would argue potentially the most important question regarding the longevity of that relationship is whether or not you're financially compatible. And you know, when we meet somebody, what are our friends asking us? Are you physically compatible? Are you emotionally compatible? Are you spiritually compatible? But when have you ever had a friend ask you, "Huh, are you guys financially compatible?"
Love that.
And mentioned I'm divorced. I have been with a wonderful man for the past 9.5 years. And on date three, I wanted to talk about his balance sheet. And I explained to him that this was not a point of judgment, but if we didn't share the same financial values or we weren't committed to helping each other if one of us was in an uncomfortable situation, the odds that we were going to make it are pretty darn low. Now, I don't know that everybody else would feel comfortable on date three. That's not my advice. But when you get to a very significant milestone and you're thinking about cohabitating or spending your life together, by the grace of God, I found the perfect man for me because he was thrilled to do it on day three because he was thinking the same thing. So that's the biggest thing that I see in relationships.
Me too, by the way.
I knew you Queen Elizabeth was yes.
I just couldn't. We just had a whole day of conversations about this because people are often very incompatible in terms of money. I mean, it's true. You will often hear he or she spends so much. I wouldn't do that. I'm the saver. They're the spenders. It's like, and it is definitely a source of huge contention.
One thing I want to mention that I don't think people realize when somebody asks them to join a money conversation in the context of programming that Savvy Ladies has, or there are a number of, well, not a number, there are a handful of fabulous female financial advisors I know who have created money cards for their clients. Some of them are selling them to the public that you can use almost as a game to start conversations either with uh, uh, somebody you are romantically involved in, or it could be, and it would be wonderful if it were an intergenerational conversation. But the thing I want to highlight is people are afraid of that. And one of the things that I learned was actually, God, I think it might have been 15 years ago now, and it was with Stacey Francis. So Stacey and I had the honor of being part of the first group of female financial advisors to go through a program at Dimensional, DFA Dimensional Advisors. And in that context, one of the exercises we tested out as a group was something called conversation circles, where we came together. It was very orchestrated. We had a half hour of chit chat. Then we had a topic, a specific topic, and we discussed it 1 hour. And then afterwards, we had a little chit chat. It was a clear 2 hour event. And all of us, now, mind you, everyone in the room was a financial advisor. All of us, I mean, I can remember I was crying as I was, talking about my money story and certain aspects of it. I mean, literally, I mean, like bawling, heaving, kind of crying. so many emotions came out. And then what happened was literally every one of the advisors in that room started using that as a tool with current clients and prospective clients. And so the point that I want to make about this is it was such a relief to talk about this stuff. And if it's such a relief for someone, I went to Harvard Business School. I'm a CFA. I'm a CFP. You would think I have no emotions about money. It's all no. I have a ton, and it felt great to get them out. And that is what I want to say about money conversations that I think people don't realize. It's so freeing.
Manisha, I'm just so hashtag money conversations. You heard from Manisha herself. Hashtag money conversations. So, Manisha, what's an example of a time in your own life or in your career where you boldly asked for something that actually changed the trajectory of your career, your life, or opened an unexpected door?
So for me, the biggest ask, hands down, was asking to work remotely on a location independent basis. And this was 20 years ago, where no one did this. And the firm I was working for then, the CEO said to me, like, "Are you crazy? I don't get how that will work. I mean, that's got to be impossible." And I explained, because he really wanted me to come aboard, that it was impossible for me to come aboard unless I was working on a remote location independent basis, because I was living in Santa Fe at that time with my then husband, and the company was all the way across the country. And so I said, "Look, let's just test it out for 3 months. Just give it a try. Let's see what's happening." And he was worried, like, "Well, if I open the door for you, maybe everybody else is going to ask for this." But at the time, it was such an odd thing that other people didn't want to do it. And it worked out great. And it changed my life because I was able to live in a whole variety of places and do a whole variety of things in different geographic locations, whether it was, wanting to spend 2 weeks in Barcelona and renting an Airbnb there. And like, okay, the hours I worked were really weird. But, I was able to do that. So that's the biggest professional ask.
Okay, we're going to do the rapid fire section. So let's
go.
kick it off. Manisha, what's a book that changed the way you think about money or your life?
Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own.
What's one daily habit that keeps you grounded?
Morning pages. Julia Cameron's core tool. You write 3 pages freehand, then you tear them up. Clears a pond scum from your head.
What's a favorite splurge that brings you joy? No guilt attached.
Oh my God. It's the frickin' cappuccino. Now, I only drink them when I'm staying at the location. I will stay doing work in a coffee house for, 4 hours sometimes. So my $8 cappuccino is costing me $2 an hour for fun or enjoyment.
Manisha, what's one thing you wish more people would ask themselves about their money?
Is this truly bringing me joy?
Amen.
And I know this is not a rapid fire answer, but I'm just going to step in and say one key tool is to take your income, divide it by 2,000. That's the average number of hours we work in a year. So if you're making 60,000, that is $30 an hour. And if you see something for $300 that you want to buy, a fabulous outfit or something, ask yourself if it's worth 10 hours of your life's energy. It may be yes, it may be no. No one tells you what the rule is, but that's the question to ask.
Manisha, someone who inspires you.
My brother.
Manisha, here's the question we ask of all of our guests. Why is the power of the ask crucial to women, especially financially?
Because when you own your finances, you own that body of information intellectually and emotionally, you have a level of freedom and power in your life. No matter how much money you have in your life, it's not a dollar figure. The impact is knowing that you own it in every aspect.
Queen, you have been such a amazing, amazing guest. Didn't I tell y'all? Y'all keep coming back and coming back and coming back, and we bring them harder, better, stronger. Manisha just dropped bombs on us today, and we really, really thank you. To you all who are
Precious Lisa, thank you.
listen, Queen Lisa and I, dynamic duo. Dynamic duo. And along with Savvy Ladies, we're so honored that you blessed us with your time today. And as you all can tell, the Power of the Ass podcast was created with you in mind to make sure that you get what you need and you deserve financially, having the right money conversations, knowing what the right questions to ask, and propelling your business, career, your life, and your relationships forward. So keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back to the Power of the Ass Power podcast. Tell a friend to tell a friend to what? Tell a friend to join you. And we're going to keep coming back and bringing you so much more. This is the Power of the Ass podcast, co-hosted with Queen Lisa and Precious. And we're so excited at how this year's turned out and what's coming in 2026. Manisha, we thank you so very much.
Thank you, Manisha.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Power of the Ass, ladies.
Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe to spread the love with hashtag Power of the Ass.